there's no way he get demolished. But for what he's doing, as long as they keep getting YouTubers and keep putting them in there with MMA guys, that's kind of over the hill. He's gonna continue this.
So Floyd Mayweather just issued a brutal warning to Jake Paul, telling him straight up, do not fight Mike Tyson. Floyd's not playing around. He's seen enough to know that Jake is far from ready to hang with a legend like Tyson. I mean, come on, we're talking about Iron Mike, one of the greatest fighters to ever step into the ring. And Floyd knows greatness when he sees it, because let's not fed the sport for decades. But here's the kicker: Floyd isn't saying Jake should throw in the towel on fighting big names altogether. Oh no, he's suggesting that Jake take a smaller but still massive challenge first, like fighting Canelo Alvarez. You heard that right. Floyd believes Jake needs to test himself against someone like Canelo before he even thinks about stepping into the ring with Tyson. And let's be real, fighting Canelo would be no walk in the park either, but in Floyd's eyes, that's the kind of fight Jake should be focused on before jumping into the big leagues with a living legend like Tyson. So what else did Money Mayweather say? Let's break it down now. Let's get into Floyd's recent interview, where he dropped some serious truth bombs on this whole Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson situation. Floyd revealed that Jake Paul is making a risky move by going after a legend like Tyson. According to Floyd, this is all lose situation for Jake, no matter how you slice it. First off, Jake is set to go toe-to-toe with Mike Tyson on November 15th, 2024, in what's being hyped as the biggest fight of his career. And where's this all going down? The iconic AT&T Arena. Yeah, we're talking a massive stage for a massive fight. The hype is off the charts and tickets are selling faster than you can say KO. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want to see a YouTuber turned boxer take on one of the most dangerous men to ever put on a pair of gloves? It's a once-in-a-lifetime spectacle. But that's exactly where Floyd Mayweather steps in with his concerns. Fight the world's been waiting for. Floyd believes that Jake is going after the wrong man to solidify his status in the boxing world. He's not saying that Jake doesn't have what it takes to be a star, and he's definitely not hating on Jake's hustle. In fact, Floyd respects the music grind. But when it comes to building a legacy, fighting Mike Tyson is not the move. Floyd knows that Jake still needs to prove his legitimacy as a boxer. But according to Floyd, this fight with Mike isn't going to do it. Let's be real here. This fight is clearly about the money. Jake Paul's entire brand is built on chasing the biggest paydays and generating hype, and no one can blame them for that. But what Floyd is getting at is that this isn't just about the cash or the Netflix deal that's reportedly tied to the fight. Sure, Jake's going to make a boatload of money, and the cameras will be rolling, but at what cost to his boxing career? Hear me out. Mike Tyson is 58 years old. Let that sink in for a second. 58. And Jake, he's in his prime at just 27. If Jake wins, what does it really prove? That he took down a legend who's way past his glory days. There's no real competition here, and Floyd knows that Jake might come out on top, but it'll feel like an empty victory to boxing purists. Tyson's prime was decades ago, and while he's still a beast, we've all seen the training videos, right? Tyson can still hit like a truck, and he's as intimidating as ever, but the reality is he's not the same Tyson who dominated the heavyweight division in the 80s and 90s. Let's take a trip down memory lane and talk about some of Tyson's biggest fights, just to remind everyone why he's a legend. One of the most iconic moments in Tyson's career was his 1986 fight against Trevor Berbick, where he became the youngest heavyweight champion ever. Tyson obliterated Berbick in the second round, dropping him 3 times with a single combo, and that's when the world knew Tyson was the real deal.
Can capture the title from the reigning champ, Trevor Berbick.
Another legendary fight was his 1988 bout against Michael Spinks. Spinks was an undefeated fighter, and many thought he could give Tyson a real challenge. But Iron Mike had other plans. Tyson knocked Spinks out in just 91 seconds. Let that sink in. 91 seconds. That's how powerful and dangerous Tyson was in his prime. He made world-class fighters look like amateurs. He had the speed, the power, and the killer instinct to take out anyone who dared to step into the ring with him. And of course, we can't forget the 1989 fight with Frank Bruno, where Tyson retained his heavyweight title with a brutal knockout in the 5th round. Tyson was relentless, charging forward like a wrecking ball and landing punishing blows that Burr couldn't withstand. This fight cemented Tyson's status as one of the most feared fighters in the world. But it wasn't just about the knockouts. Tyson's presence in the ring was something else entirely. His walkouts with no music, just the sound of his footsteps echoing through the arena, sent chills down his opponent's spines. Tyson was was a force of nature, and the fear he struck in his opponents gave him a psychological edge before the fight even began. Now back to the present. Jake Paul is looking to fight this man, but the Tyson he's about to face isn't the same guy from the 80s and 90s. Tyson has lived out his glory days, and while he's still an absolute beast in the gym, there's no denying that he's far from his prime. Tyson's legacy is secure. He's already the man, and nothing will change that. But what about Jake? If Jake wins, people will say he beat an aging legend. And if he loses, well, that would be a disaster for Jake's career. Either way, it's a loose situation. Floyd sees this, and that's why he's speaking up. He's not trying to throw shade, he's just calling it like it is. Jake Paul needs to focus on fighting younger, more relevant opponents if he really wants to cement his place in boxing. Floyd even suggested that Jake take on someone like Canelo Alvarez before jumping into the deep end with legends like Tyson. Now, we all know Canelo is a huge name in boxing, and that fight would be no joke either, but at least it would be a more credible challenge for Jake. Canelo's in his prime, he's a current champion, and a win against him would actually mean something. But here we are with Jake Paul chasing the Tyson fight, probably for the Netflix brand deal. And look, we get it, this fight is going to make headlines, and it's going to generate a ton of cash. But is it worth the risk? That's what Floyd's trying to figure out, and honestly, it's a question Jake should be asking himself too. Now, on the other hand, we got Jake Paul, whose boxing career is just starting to take off. I mean, the guy has come a long way from his days as a YouTuber pulling pranks and making vlogs. Let's not forget that Jake only made his professional boxing debut in 2020, so we're talking about